What's going on? What's going on? I'm back. It's your boy Jay. I Hate Average Podcast. Last week we had to take off. I just wanted to just take a break and just exhale and really celebrate in my mind about this past year. We've been doing this for a full year. Had some ups, some downs, but I've been getting support from you guys and I really appreciate it. It's been interesting. It's been a learning experience. I've been connected with people whom I didn't know would support. It's been very interesting, and it just came from an idea, and it's the fact that you guys supported it. I've been saying this all week on my social media, but I really appreciate it, and I'm excited about what's gonna happen next with this. But anyway, we have a great guest. Speaking of connecting, this guest, that's what he does. He has a knack for and a passion for having a human connection. Nowadays with social media and we're so into our devices and technology and the internet that we don't have that human connection. And this next guest, Thomas Knox, he started the Date While You Wait project. I don't know if you guys in New York City, you might have seen him in subways. He sets up a table, has a board game, and he just has conversation and connects with people. Just, you can tell him about your day, you can tell him about your issues, and just someone you could talk to, someone you could connect with. And it seems like nowadays it's something that people are constantly avoiding. So I just talked to him about, what made him start this now, being that, people always have headphones in their ears. They always have their phone in their hand. And also not just that, but people just have a standoffish personality, especially New Yorkers. So we talked about that and talked about his passions and some of the surprises that he had and how people was really interested in connecting. So here's my interview with Thomas Knox, Date While You Wait. All right, everyone, I'm here with Mr. Thomas Knox. You guys probably know him better from his company and his project, Date While You Wait. How are you, Mr. Knox?
I'm doing good. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So before I start everything, how did you get the idea of starting Date While You Wait?
Yeah, so Date While You Wait was essentially created based on negativity. I had a friend who I was supposed to go out with for dinner, and when I got home and reached out to her, she was frustrated about her commute.
Okay.
Based on her frustration, I was like, hey, what if I do something cool where I can connect with people? And she was like, no, that's crazy. Don't do that. And then I shared it with some of my friends, and they thought it was a dope idea. So we ended up going out later on, like a week later, and setting up in the subway.
Okay. I mean, it definitely is a dope idea. At first, I heard people talking about it, and then I think I seen it on the news. I was kind of surprised because, I'm a New Yorker and I'm used to people, having attitudes while they wait for the train on the platform. And I was surprised how people, kind of took to you. Some people, people sat down and started conversations with you. So was you surprised at first from the reaction, or was it something that in your mind you thought people would gravitate towards?
No, not at all. I was not surprised because I honestly I was freaking out that I was doing it. So I think I was more so freaked out. I was actually sitting in the subway connecting with people, but uh, I just know people want to connect, not just based over relationships and conversations I've had with people throughout my life, experiences that I have. So I wasn't too surprised when people were engaging with me and asking me questions about what the project was at that time.
Definitely. So, what's some of the feedback? Because I know you've been getting a lot of press. You've been on news networks. You've been speaking. So, what's like the biggest surprise you had since starting this project? Like, what's the biggest? I know it started from like a small idea. So, what's your biggest surprise that you had starting this?
it's definitely having the ability or hearing people's stories. I think there's so many unique stories out there, and I'm not one to judge someone, but a lot of people I meet, just by looking at them, I could never tell some of the things they share with me. It's just mind blowing me. It could be like, when it comes to their career path and the work that they do, or issues, or even the wonderful things that are happening with families. Uh, but the biggest surprise is definitely having conversations with people and having no idea that they're going to share what they're about to share, and having a deeper conversation from that.
Yeah. So what's your story? Like what was you working on before you started the Date While You Wait project? Are you a native New Yorker?
Oh yeah, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. Grew up in East Flatbush. Um, so I went to middle school and public school there, and then when I got to high school, my mom moved to Staten Island, so I finished high school in Staten Island. But yeah, I'm originally from New York. A lot of people don't believe me. They say I'm too nice, which is very funny to me because I'm just like I have the New Yorker spirit when I need it, and I'll pull it out when I need to pull it out.
Yeah.
But before I started doing DYU, I was working for Apple, and
Okay.
I was there for about, at that time, about 6 years. Um, and then I left Apple to focus on DYU full time.
Right. But was it a passion project, or was it just born out of frustration with work, or was it just something that you just felt people might need? It's a space, an area that people might need.
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a passion project. It was just something. Honestly, it's just something fun to do. I'm the type of person that when I come up with stuff, I just do them. I don't really care what the reaction is going to be or what people think about it until I do it. And it was just something that I wanted to do because, based off the conversation I had with my friend. But it wasn't supposed to turn into a passion project, or it wasn't like a social experiment or anything. I just literally just was like, let's have some fun and connect with people because we don't do it enough.
Definitely.
And yeah, so I went from that to, like I said, 2 years. We just said 2 years. 2 years in, having a full blown company and trying to create ways to connect with people outside of just an insurance station, but in other unique ways.
Right. So like I say your first outside the subway, how was that experience? How was you able to connect with people to have them know who you are outside of the subway? How was you able to do that?
Honestly, it's due to all the press.
Okay.
So my goal was not to get press. Like I don't really care that much about press. I don't care that much about social media. I'm the type of person, like I said, I just go out and do things. So I just got popular because of all the press, all the news channels talking about me,
Yeah.
and I have a very distinct look. So I wear a bow tie and I wear a hat. So when people see that, they're like, "Oh, I've seen you somewhere." So that was really what it turned into. But I literally had no idea it was going to be as big as it's gotten, and yeah, it's very very interesting how people pull me out, even when I'm not in my bow tie. I could be in some t-shirt and some jeans, and people are like, "You look very familiar. I know you from somewhere." And I used to always play it off and be like, "Nah, I don't know what you're talking about." Who? But now that I have a company, the more people that know about us, obviously, the more impact we can have. So,
Definitely.
um, so now when people stop me, I literally sit down and have a conversation with them, and I engage with them to learn a little bit more about them and share some of the other things that I do. Um, but yeah, I had no idea I was going to be able to engage with people the way I've been doing it.
Definitely. So what's the mission now? Like you say, you turned it into a company. So what's one of the missions or one of the aspects of the company that you're trying to help people with?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I feel like we're still trying to figure it out. But for right now, I've kind of broken it down into three pillars for us.
Oh, okay.
And the main thing is creating a platform for people to connect in unique ways. So it doesn't always have to be specific to subways, but I've done DYUA at festivals. I've done DYUA at universities. So it's not really specific to subways, but that's what it's known for. So that's kind of number one. Um, I've also since like broke it down to an event series. So we have an event series we were doing, and we kind of put it on the back burner for now because it's summer, but we're going to go back to it in the fall.
Okay.
And that's literally called the Connection Series.
Nice.
And that series is Connection Series, and it's focused on having panel discussions about a specific topic, and all of the Q&A happening through board games.
Wow.
So all of the panelists, we set them up individually at board games, and they connect with the audience and participants through board games.
That's kind of
so
cool.
It's been a really cool kind of experience with that. Yeah, we've been doing some really cool things with that, so I'm excited to kind of redevelop it for the fall.
Yeah.
I also do workshop series. I have a workshop series that I do for high school and middle school students. I've done it at a couple of schools here in the city, and I'm trying to roll it out as a program.
Okay.
And that's also called the Connection Workshop Series, and it's focused on the workflow I use to create connection with people. So it's called the 3 C's of Human Connection. And literally, like, I've done it in a couple of schools already, and we're just trying to roll it out to more schools. And then the last thing I do is I do public speaking. So I'm with an agency, and I go to universities, and I, do like an hour keynote presentation around my experiences about connection. And we have a moment in some time where we have board games and things like that for students to engage in. So those are kind of the threefold that we've been working on. But honestly, we're going in so many different directions. Like now I'm doing a web series. I'm working on a podcast.
Wow.
I'm doing a lot of like brand partnerships. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot in the pipeline for us.
Okay.
But yeah, all trying to create a sustainable business.
Yeah, definitely.
Or scalable business.
I mean, you're doing great work because it's very difficult, especially not just dealing with subways, but with the new technology. There's so many barriers of people having human connections. So it's interesting that you choose now. It's kind of needed now to have create a space to have people to have natural, organic human connections. So it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it's been a great journey. There's still a lot going on, and there's still a lot I'm trying to figure out as an entrepreneur, but I'm definitely blessed to have the opportunity to do what I love and do it on a high level.
Yeah. So what made you?
It's been great.
What made you know that the board games might be able to help people connect? What made you come up with that idea?
Yes, so it's so funny I get that question because I don't know. Like I just literally like I'm gonna add a board game like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people want or think that it was like some strategic plan behind this shit. Like I literally woke up and I was like, hey, I talk to people in the subway and I see people that want to engage, but they don't really want to talk to me. So maybe I should introduce a board game. Yeah. So I introduced Connect 4, and people really started to gravitate toward that. And then we keep adding board games. We've added probably like 4 or 5 different board games we play, and people love it. Like they literally sit down and have a blast.
Yeah.
So I didn't go home and be like, what are the top 5 board games? Choose one. Like it literally was like, how can I connect with people? What's quick? Connect 4 sounds good. It has Connect in it. Cool, let's do it. And we did it, and it worked out. So
that's great.
Trial and error. Definitely trial and error.
Yeah. Definitely. Plus, New Yorkers are very competitive, so I guess they see the board game as it's another opportunity that they could compete.
Yeah. Exactly. And I also think we as New Yorkers, we try to front like we don't want to connect or we don't want to talk to each other. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to talk to someone. Like, even the people that are the meanest people, you see in these movies and TV shows, someone's mean, and they have somebody nice talk to them, and they break down, and they're super open, and they're emotional. You're like, damn, where did this come from? The same thing in real life. People want to connect. We just have to find ways to connect with each other.
That's true. So have you had any surprise connections? Someone who you probably didn't even think that they would come up to you, but they just came up to you and you kind of had a closer bond than the other people you connected with. Have you had, like an older person or someone from a different race? Have you had those connections?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been so many different types of connections or conversations that I've had with people that are unique. Like, there's been conversations where I've had people that don't speak English, but they know the game, so they'll sit and play a game with me, and we won't
Wow.
talk at all because they don't speak any English.
Wow.
I've had instances where I've had homeless people sit down and play the game with me, and one thing that I will say, and I think everybody should know this, is that homeless people that are homeless, not homeless people, people that are homeless,
Yeah.
they are like the nicest people in the world. Like we like shoot them down sometimes, and we're like, oh, you stink and all this and all that, but they're some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Wow.
And they've been like super respectful. They have great stories about their lives and some of the mistakes that they've made, or some of the things that have happened to them, or vice versa. Um, but like everybody matters to me, so I don't discriminate. If someone wants to connect, let's connect.
Yeah.
If they don't want to connect, let's play a game and go on with your day. But yeah, I've had a ton of incredible conversations with educators, with police officers and law enforcement, and
Oh wow, that's cool.
regular people, and I've talked to all different types of people, and hope to continue to do so.
Definitely. But where does that come from in you? Was you always like that? Always the type of person that just was open minded and willing to connect with anyone?
Absolutely not. Of course not. No.
Mm.
I was growing up. I was always a class clown. I was always the funny guy. I used to do. There's one bit I always used to do, which I probably shouldn't share, but I have no shame in my game.
Yeah.
I used to walk around my high school. Chappelle was popular, and I
Yeah.
literally would walk around with a wig and just run around and say I'm with James. Like I would literally be like, I'm with James, bitch. I would do it all the time. Like I would walk around school pushing people like I'm with James. Yeah, I was a clown, man.
Yeah.
I always been a clown. I'm still a clown. I
Yeah.
practical joke, with my family and friends all the time. Um, but my love for connecting with people, I think, or I know it came probably later on in high school when I realized that a lot of us have a lot in common. Like I found out that I had something in common with one of my guys' counselors, this white lady from Bay Ridge,
Wow.
and I'm black from Flatbush, and I found out she was from Brooklyn, and we both, in high school in Staten Island. So it was cool to have somebody that was from where I was from, even though it wasn't the same exact location, but same borough. So
Yeah.
we clicked there, and it helped me get through school. So she was kind of like my mentor in a way. I would go to her and I talked to her about Brooklyn, and she would tell me about Brooklyn when she was growing up. And I think that's where it kind of started. And I realized that everybody has a story. Everybody has somewhere they came from. Everybody, like there's nobody that especially that is an adult that doesn't have a story or a journey. So I wanted to hop on that. Like I wanted to share those journeys. I wanted to share those stories. I wanted to hear them. I wanted to let them know that if you have a goal or you have something you're inspired by, do it, because that's what I did. And I sit in the subway. Like how do we get you to a point where you're challenged to go, or you're encouraged to go do the thing you love to do.
Wow.
And that's what Day White is all about.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. So, are you able? Do people ask you questions? Are you able to share your stories with people, or are you just there to just listen?
Absolutely, it's very conversational, so it's not one-sided. Um, I do listen, but a lot of people want to know things like, hey, are you single, or where you from, or what's your favorite board game? And I have conversations with people. I'm not, like I said, I'm not someone who's very shy. So if there's something that you want to know, you ask me, and if I don't want to tell you, I'm going to tell you no. But if I'm open to it, I'll share my perspective. So yeah, it's definitely conversational. Definitely kind of open for space and environment because we want to engage in both ways. We want to share something about me, and obviously hear something about the person I'm connecting with.
That's cool. You just touched on something. So, people they might ask you, are you single, whatever. Have you ever had people, who kind of think, in their mind it might be a real date like this? It might be someone that, really might show interest in you. Have you ever had that?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, people sit down, guys and girls, men and women, they sit down there. They think that I don't want to say they think it's a real date because I
It
set
is.
expectations as soon as someone sits down.
Yeah.
So as soon as someone sits down with me, I tell them like, hey, have you heard of date? Like, no, I haven't heard about it. Cool, let me tell you what it's about. And then once I explain it to them, then they know that it's strictly about connection, it's not about
Yeah.
romance or dating romantically. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, people sit down and tell me I'm cute and I'm fine and they like my beard and all sort of stuff. It happens. Um, I respectfully, say thank you and keep it moving. So,
Of course, of course.
but absolutely, yeah.
So you don't have, someone sit down and then they miss their trade and someone else sits down and they get jealous. You don't get that.
It definitely happens. People are very strange.
Yeah.
When I say strange, I don't mean it in a negative way. I just think
Have,
sometimes like I've had people who would walk around my table for 20 minutes. They'll miss 3 trains. They'll walk around and peek, go behind the counter, take, and then after 2 or 3 people sit down, they're like, okay, it's safe. Then they'll sit down and they'll be like, I didn't really know what this was. And when I started doing it, there was no Wi-Fi or service in the train station, so you couldn't really look it up. Now people actually like sit down and look me up, and then they're like, oh, I just looked you up, cool, and they'll come sit down. So yeah, it's all about comfortability, and I've never asked people to sit with me. So I never like sat down and be like, hey, come sit with me. Never.
Yeah.
If you don't want to sit down with me, cool. If you do want to sit down with me, cool. Like either way, it doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my career doing it that if I go set up and no one sits down with me, I'm cool with it. It doesn't bother me one bit. I've met hundreds of people. Like it doesn't. It's cool.
Have you had nights
but
like
people
that where people just wasn't in the mood?
Nah, absolutely not. The only time that we did the OUA and nobody sat down was here in Staten Island.
Okay.
But the reason is because I didn't set up at the subway. I set up right near the ferry, and it's not a good place for people to kind of just walk by and sit down. So people will walk by and be like this, but it wasn't like they were waiting for anything. So that's the only time I've done it and nobody sat down.
Okay. Yeah, I think the ferry, it comes like clockwork, so people are not really waiting too long for that. Yeah. But Tom, I don't want to keep you all night, Thomas. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for telling your story. Really, really, it's cool, man. Keep up this work. It's interesting, seeing someone going out their way to have natural connections with people, man. So it's very, very interesting, and I wish you the best.
I greatly appreciate it, man. I actually would love to hear a little bit more about your podcast and what you guys, why you got started. I think every conversation or every interaction has 2 stories.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the opportunity, but I also think it's important to understand your dynamic and some of the things that you're working on. So, what got you into doing podcasts? And, that's the biggest thing. What got you into doing podcasts? And obviously, we know you're from New York.
Yeah. Well, what got me into it, it's kind of similar to you. It's just that, I've listened to podcasts, and it's usually like a celebrity or an athlete or musician or rapper that usually gets a chance to speak. So I've found it to be unique to have different types of stories. So I've had people who they might be rappers or actors or writers, but they're not as well known as the mainstream people. So I just found it interesting to try to have conversations with those people just to get their stories out to, to different platforms. So I just thought that would be interesting. It's something that I tried a couple months ago. I just been sticking with it.
Nice, man. Well, it's important to, like I said, to have something interesting and kind of run with it, because you never know what can happen. And I tell people all the time, man, I went from New York City to New York Times, or New York Subway to New York Times. I literally just did something I thought was dope. And what people don't understand is that we all got something inside of us, every single one of us, that thing that just gives us butterflies when we're talking about it or when we're doing it. For me, it's connection. So I started out with a small idea and it got big. Now I got big ideas that I know can get bigger. So now I'm like coming up with ways to put out other type of content around connection, because that's where we're headed. So you just got to stay the course and follow the journey. But yeah, kudos to you for taking the lead, because it's not easy producing anything, especially a podcast like I'm going through right now.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
Taking the time to record and talk about it is a lot of work. So, kudos to you for following that.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. There you have it. That's my interview with Thomas Knox. A lot of fun, a lot of insight, just interesting conversation about connecting with people. Something that I said earlier, just something that's kind of difficult, especially nowadays where there's so many barriers to connecting, and people have, so many ideas of, I don't want to talk to this person. They don't know me. They're a stranger. But this gentleman, Thomas Knox, he's recreating that mindset. He's shifting things and having people connect on a subway of all places where people actually go out their way to not connect, but he's connecting with people, and it's an interesting project. It's an interesting idea, interesting concept, and it's something that I'm a little more mindful of now. Just sometimes I'm mindful more of making eye contact with people or give them a smile or a smirk, just acknowledging people, because you never know what people are going through, and you never know when people need to connect. Some people might not come up to you and have a whole conversation, but just you acknowledging them as a human being might be a help. And this is a great conversation and definitely great insight, and something that I hope it's gonna make you a little bit more aware of just the human connection. Definitely cool perspective. Next week we got another great guest. As I said earlier, thank you again for the continued support. We've been doing this for a whole year. Continue to rate and review on iTunes. Well, not iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts. Let me make sure I say that clearly. I don't want to get Apple to get upset with me. So Apple Podcasts. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. You can also check me out on SoundCloud, on YouTube, also on Google Play. So definitely check me out, rate and review. You can email me, jay@averagej.com. Once again, it's jay@averagejay.com. Also hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is I Hate Average Podcast. Snapchat, I Hate Average JAY. And that's about it. I'll talk to you guys next week.